Memphis, Tennessee. Beautiful, diverse, southern. It's hard to think of Memphis without thinking about music. While it's home to the birthplace of rock and roll, out of Memphis culture grew a community that loves blues, gospel, jazz, rap, R&B, soul, sports, and delicious barbecue. A bit south of the heart of Memphis and stretching from Midtown and downtown to the Mississippi state line stands one of the oldest communities of this grand city, Riverside, South Memphis. While most focus on the accomplishments of Memphis as a whole, this new podcast, Riverside in Review, sheds light on the incredible names and achievements that have sprung from this significant community in the South. Some you may know and some you may not. From the musical greats like the Queen of Soul herself, Aretha Franklin, to impactful politicians like Benjamin Hooks. On this podcast, we will discuss them all and more. So join me, your host, Demetrius Smith, as I, through in-depth conversations, explore the soul and the soulful history of Riverside, South Memphis. You may ask, why a podcast? Or better yet, why a podcast about South Memphis? The answer for me is simple. It's long overdue. If we allow the local and national media to give us a snapshot of who we are, we will only see crime and poverty. But I know that Riverside, South Memphis is much more than that. While I can admit crime in our city is out of control, we should not accept this one-sided view of who we are. I know that despite the problems facing our community, there are several individuals from among our ranks who are doing tremendous work within and outside of the community. These individuals have garnered considerable momentum, contributing to positive societal influence. Unfortunately, their endeavors go largely unnoticed, since, in my opinion, they don't have the benefit of powerful media to highlight their hard work and accomplishment. Why not create a platform where these individuals can be seen and heard? A place where, through an in-depth conversation about the community's rich historical significance and the work of these dedicated individuals, the narrative can shift and we can get a closer, more intimate picture of Riverside, South Memphis. Today, we're super excited to have Timeko T. Davis Wade join us. Timeko is all about family, faith, and making a big impact as an entrepreneur. She went from walking the halls of Riverview Junior High and George Washington Carver High School in Memphis and ultimately graduating from Southside High School in 1990. She became the creator and owner of Pop's Kernel, a gourmet popcorn company that's all about flavor and quality. She uses the best ingredients to make popcorn that's not just tasty but also good for you. But Timeko's vision goes beyond just great popcorn. She's passionate about supporting adults with special needs, aiming to make her business a place where diversity and inclusion are normal. Pop's Kernel has even hit the big screen, providing popcorn for movies like Coming to America and West Side Story. Her work has also led to partnerships with cool local businesses like Crave Bakery, Dixon Gallery, Doc's Wine and Spirits, and many more, showing her dedication to community and excellence. Let's dive into Timeko T. Davis Wade's story and how she's changing the game with her popcorn and her purpose.
What you doing tonight? I'm in town for a little while and I bet you're feeling lonely.
Welcome to Riverside in Review, the podcast that brings you inspiring interviews with remarkable individuals who have made significant progress in the world of social politics, business, entertainment, and beyond. I am your host, Demetrius Smith. I'm honored to introduce my next guest. Today, we're super excited to have Timeko T. Davis Wade join us. Timeko is all about family, faith, and making a big impact as an entrepreneur. She went from walking the halls of Riverview Junior High and George Washington Carver High School in Memphis and ultimately graduating from Southside High School in 1990. She became the creator and owner of Pop's Kernel, a gourmet popcorn company that's all about flavor and quality. She uses the best ingredients to make popcorn that's not just tasty, but also good for you. But Timeko's vision goes beyond just great popcorn. She's passionate about supporting adults with special needs, aiming to make her business a place where diversity and inclusion are normal. Pop's Kernel has even hit the big screen, providing popcorn for movies like Coming to America and West Side Story. Her work has also led to partnerships with cool local businesses like Crave Bakery, Dixon Gallery, Doc's Wine and Spirits, and many more, showing her dedication to community and excellence. Let's dive into Timeko T. Davis Wade's story and how she's changing the game with her popcorn and her purpose. Miss Timeko T. Davis, welcome to Riverside in Review.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? I want to start with the inspirational story. What inspired you to go into gourmet popcorn? What was that about?
So in 2011, I used to own a childcare business for 10 years. And
Okay.
2011, the economy was really bad. So we ended up having to close. And I went to go visit my grandma in 2012. And I'm used to working. I've been an entrepreneur, or I've worked in small businesses since I was like 14 years old. I wasn't working at the time. My husband was doing everything. And I am one of those ladies, I like to help. I am a true helper. I can't just sit at home and not do anything. So I'm visiting my grandma in Chicago, and she goes, baby, why don't you go get some popcorn from Garrett's and take it back home to your family, just for good measure, because you've been up here for a couple of weeks hanging out with me. And I was like, we're not big popcorn eaters, Grandma. She was like, just go anyway. I said, okay. Now, mind you, this is January. Chicago. It's cold outside. Yeah. Yes. So I pull up to Garrett's, and there's a line outside the door. I mean, it's wrapped around the building. And it is 13 degrees outside. And I'm like, do I really want to go stand in this line? But I was being obedient because Grandma told me to do it. So that's what I did. I went and stood in that line. And I'm talking to other people in line about the popcorn. They're like, yeah, Garrett's is pretty big. Opened them, blew them up and everything. I'm like, okay. So it took me about 20 minutes to get inside. I got inside, and as soon as you hit the door, the smell of the caramel corn hit me. And then I was like, okay. And then I see the workers behind the counter, and they're taking orders, and, they're happy. They're smiling. The people are getting their popcorn. As they walk away, they're smiling. I was like, okay, well, this is really good. So I bought 4 bags of popcorn. I bought the biggest size, and then I bought 3 little sizes that had some nuts and stuff in it. So later on that evening, I get on the train, and I'm spoiled riding. So I'm in this individual car, and it's just me and the popcorn and God. And I'm like, Lord, I'm tired of not working. Now, mind you, it's only been off work for about 3 months. And I'm like, I really want to have something to do. I need something for me that's going to help me to be creative like I need to be, and still bring home money so I can have my own money in my pocket. I don't always have to ask homeboy to give me some money. So, he didn't mind. But so I'm praying about it, but at the same time, I'm eating popcorn because I'm not a big popcorn eater, and I'm trying it out. And the first thing God said was, do what? And I'm still eating popcorn. He was like, make popcorn. I was like, are you kidding me? Lord, is this really what you want me to do? And I'm still eating this popcorn. Now, mind you, again, there's nobody else in this car. It's just me. And I'm hearing these voices out, and they were very loud and very clear.
So how did the journey from that idea, or that voice or that inspiration lead you to actually launch the business? How did that?
When I got home, I told my husband about the voice and what it said. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah. So the next day we got up, we went to the store, went to Kroger, got some kernels, bought a little hand corn maker thing, because he always likes to support whatever it is that I want to do. And he made the very first batch of caramel corn. We found like a little crazy recipe online, and he made the very first batch of it. So I was like, okay, this is good. All right. And so mind you, this is 2012. So later on that year, it's our 10-year anniversary in November. And we decided to make popcorn for our friends. And we just made a basic caramel corn. And I had a friend then say, why don't y'all sell this? And I was like, are you kidding me? It's just popcorn. Mind you, I'm still not thinking what God told me to do. Right. So I was like, I could do that. So the next year, our church is a missionary church. And one of the pastors, I made popcorn for somebody's graduation party, and one of the pastors was like, why don't you help with the mission trips by doing a fundraiser with popcorn for some of the young people that are going on missions? And I was like, oh, I could do that. Yeah. But at the time, again, I only had the caramel corn. And since I didn't know how to make it, I was asking homeboy again. I was asking my husband. I was like, can you make the caramel? He said, you need to figure out how to make it yourself. And I'm like, what? He said, well, God the one gave you the vision. He gave me the vision. I was like, so I had to go online and figure out how to make the caramel corn myself. And then it dawned on me, I'm like, I want to do more than caramel corn. I want to do some cheeses too. And I didn't know how to do those. So I went and bought like 20 boxes of macaroni and cheese because it has the powdered cheese inside of it. It was so funny. So I had to figure out how to adhere the cheese to the kernel so that I could have 2 different types, a cheese and a caramel. And I did it. I figured it out because God gave me the idea and I'm creative. So that started that part of it. And when we got ready to help people with their mission trip, I had to find a name. And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything. And then it really hit me again. My husband created the first batch of caramel corn, and my kids call him Pops. That's the reason why we named it Pops Kernel.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting story. I was going to ask you about the biggest challenges that you faced starting out. And I don't know, was that the biggest, do you think, or were there?
No,
were there
that
other?
was not the biggest. The biggest came because we didn't really just push 2012, 2013. The biggest challenge came 2015 when I was doing a leadership program at my church. And they asked me to create popcorn for a women's conference. They asked for 1,400 bags of popcorn. I was like, what? I did. I was like, huh? How am I supposed to do that? Mind you, I'm making popcorn from home. I didn't have a storefront. So we're baking or making the popcorn out of my kitchen. And I was like, okay, so I told my husband, I was like, 1,400. I was like, yeah, what do we do? And at the time, since we still wasn't really heavily into it, I didn't know how long it would stay fresh, didn't know what type of bags to put it in, how to create the labels. So that was our biggest hurdle in the very beginning. And I knew that this was going to be something bigger because how you asked me for 1,400 bags, I went from making 2 to 3 bags maybe a week to 1,400 in one weekend.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we figured out, and then I had my whole entire family at my house. We were slanging popcorn for like 2-3 days. And then we were still scared because we didn't know how long it would stay fresh. So we bagged them up into the little bags. And then when the women's conference came along, they set them out for everybody to get. And it was a hit. Everybody was talking about, oh my God, this popcorn is so good. Now, mind you, it just said Pops Kernel on it. Didn't say my name. Nobody knew who it came from. We didn't tell nobody. They just put it out there. And I was watching, I'm walking around watching people as they're eating. Everybody was eating. It was just going like crazy. And I saw people putting a couple more bags in their purse. They were walking away with it. So I was like, okay, I got to figure this out because this is going good.
I was going to ask you because I've never heard anything bad about your popcorn. As you know, my wife and I were out there a couple of months ago. Yeah. And you gave us some bags and it was just delicious. I just wonder what sets your popcorn apart from everyone else? Does everybody just want it?
First of all, I do believe because God breathed on it. It was his idea. He's the one who told me to do it. And then my process is totally different. Now, I can't give you all my secrets, but
I understand.
My process is different. When we make the caramel, I still do it the old-fashioned way. I use real butter, real vanilla flavoring, and those items are not cheap. I don't use a powder mix. I don't use water, so it stays fresh longer. And then we air pop. What I mean by that, when we were growing up as kids, before the microwave age, everybody would put popcorn in a skillet and put a lid on it, and then they put oil in it. They're fry popping popcorn. So that means when you fry pop it, it pops up and it still has an oil residual.
Yeah.
I don't do that. We completely air pop. There's nothing. It's just a complete base. And you want to start with a base because that means anything that you stick onto it, then it tastes just like that. Whatever seasoning, whatever oil mixture, it tastes like that. You don't want to start with an oil base first. Especially if you're eating healthy, you don't want to start with an oil base. So for us, that makes the difference. Using fresh ingredients, using the real stuff that when you look at the label on the bag, you can read the ingredients on the bag. It's not 30, it's not a whole big paragraph, and you understand every word. You know what butter is. You know what vanilla flavoring is. So I think that makes the difference. First God, and then using the base ingredients. And then the process that we do and the love and care that I put into it, because I want to make sure when you eat this popcorn, you could taste the goodness and the premium products that's in it. And that's important to me.
It seemed like you had a number of ingredients, different popcorns on the shelf.
Yeah, I do.
What innovates that? Or how do you come up with these flavors? And how do you consider when you're selecting flavors for your consumers?
Well, most of the time it's the consumers. It's things that they request. They've been to other popcorn companies and they've saw something and they've tried it. And then they asked me. So like Oreo cookie was one of the biggest things that came back. You got cookies and cream? You got cookies and cream? So I had to figure out how to make it my way. way, because I know how some of my competitors make it, but I had to figure out how to make it my way. And when I finally did, I was like, this is the one. And then I do have some what I call my original flavors. Like I create a barbecue flavor popcorn that's not like anybody else's. And I still use the freshest ingredients, but I had to create my own recipe for it. And that's something you won't find on the internet. So when people eat it, they're like, oh my God, this cute popcorn. It tastes just like barbecue. It's smoky. It's got a little bit of heat and it's sweet. So yeah, and then I pair it with basil lemonade. And I call it that because my bae made the lemonade first. So, but it also came out during the time when Beyonce came out with her Lemonade album. So,
Okay.
but who doesn't like barbecue and lemonade at the same time during the summer?
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Riverside High School, changing of the guard, or something more sinister. When Riverside student Carlos Jones agrees to assist the school's guidance counselor in a plot to derail the stellar career of its beloved principal, a sordid culture of competitive politics, reverse racial discrimination, and inappropriate sexual behavior is revealed. The plan threatens not only to destroy the lives of innocent victims, but could also destroy the reputations of the proud inner-city high school. Pick up all 3 copies of this award-winning tale by author Demetrius Smith from Amazon.com. Scandal at Riverside High, Ruth's Revenge, and The Final Bell.
Yeah, and then the funky names, they're important too, because that's how I differentiate who's my consumer, who's my customer. When you walk in the door and you know the names of the popcorn that I have, even if I don't have it on shelf, where's the lemonade? Where's Bae's lemonade? I need that. Where's Tuxedo? And I'm like, oh, it's out of season. Then I know you're my customer. That means you've either had the product or you've looked it up somewhere or somebody gave you some. I know you are my customer.
Okay. Well, can you share any memorable customer feedback or success story that you have had that has stood out to you?
Oh, yeah. So one particular story, Lena Waithe. She is a fellow Chicagoan. She's created and produced a couple of movies and shows like I think they call it The Chai out of Chicago. So she had our popcorn during the time of the Coming to America, when the boxes went out. Not only did she have the popcorn and she showcased the box itself, but then a couple of weeks later, I believe she had her assistant to order popcorn, because that's what I always get. The celebrities will order through their assistant, so I never see their names except for one or two, like Deion Cole ordered, he used his name. So she ordered popcorn, and then I think it was one night, her and one of her friends were sitting watching TV, and she pulled up the bag of popcorn and she said, she was like, Pop's Kernel got me cheating on Garrett's. Because again, she from Chicago. And I was like, what? Yeah, she tagged us in the post and everything. So I kept it, of course, on my Instagram page. So that was a memorable story for me. And then there's one with Shawnee. At the time, on her Instagram page, it says, I am Shawnee. So she also received the gold box from Coming to America. And she opened the first box. And of course, it tells you, like, I have the box here. So on the first box, it had like a little picture thing that says Coming to America. And you see there's Pop's Kernel right there at the bottom.
Okay.
It says Coming to America. So, and then she opened the box and she had that. And then she had the 2 tickets from there. So, and it had a crown. So I have the crown.
All right.
And it has the little rose petals, because you remember he put all the rose petals out every time the king got out to go walking somewhere. So she opened that box, and then she opened the second box. And mind you, in the second box, that's where the Black-owned business, all of our products was in there. And she was like, whoa, Vittles. As soon as she opened the box, the first thing you saw was the popcorn. And she didn't say our name, but she was like, I love popcorn. So for me, that was one of many. I've had so many celebrities to post about the popcorn, some of their favorites. John Legend sent me an email. He said, Chrissy loves your popcorn. I was like, oh, wow. I seriously, I got so giddy. I was like, I told my husband, I said, John Legend is in my email. He's like, no, he ain't. I'm like, yes, he is. So, he said, because it was during the time of the movie itself, and they wanted more popcorn. They only put 2 bags in each one of the gold boxes, and I guess he was having a viewing party. So he was like, "Hey, I want to get some more sweet butter caramel," and I said, "Okay, I can send that out to you." And he was like, "Yeah, well, don't worry about sending it. I'll have my assistant come down to your shop and pick it up." And I was like, "Is your assistant in Memphis?" He said, "Oh no, we're in Hollywood." And I was like, "Well, I'm in Memphis." He said, "Well, overnight it, baby." So that's what I did. So that, like I said, that's just one of them, and that's just the one movie. There's several movies. When I tell you we did, it's like Coming to America, Without Remorse, Being the Ricardos, which was a documentary for Lucille Ball, West Side Story, One Night in Miami, Sylvie's Love, A Hero Story. We did Mary J. Blige's documentary. And when I tell you we did these movies, there was an affiliate company with Amazon that was using Black-owned businesses during the pandemic to curate and create these boxes. So while you're sitting at home watching movies, because most times when you go to the movie theater, what you do, you buy candy, you get something to drink, you get popcorn. Right. So since they're at home watching these movies, they reached out to us as a Black-owned business. And what we did was we either shipped or my husband drove it to California. And then they curated these boxes, and then they sent the boxes out to the celebrities. And one of the one that was really fun to watch was the one with Without Remorse, Michael B. Jordan's movie. Because it was a military style movie. They made tackle boxes. And they had drones. I have a video of a drone flying over this man's house, and it has this tackle box, and it drops it in his yard. And when he opens up the tackle box, there's all of our products. And there's popcorn from Pop's Kernel.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
So has social media, for the most part, been your approach to marketing and branding your popcorn?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a buzz with word of mouth, but not as big as the social media side of it. I mean, you really have to know how to work the social media side because of the algorithm. Things have changed since everybody's back outside again, and things even changed with Pop's Kernel. We are no longer in the house maker. We have a whole storefront in Cordova. But yeah, social media is one of the biggest things. But for people like you, I'm pretty sure after you had the popcorn, you told somebody about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So what are your thoughts? Lee, that question makes me want to ask, that answer makes me want to ask another question as far as your thoughts on the future of gourmet snack industry, and how do you see your company evolving within it?
So continue to create a nostalgic snack for me is very important, especially on the health side of it. Not just us being a Black-owned, family-owned, and one that gives back to the community. All of those things play into it, but the actual snack itself, it is one of the oldest snacks you could possibly enjoy. It dates back to the early 1800s. So people made corn and they called it maize. But for us to continue to create it in the way we do, I enjoy doing it that way because I know it's healthier. Microwave popcorn is not healthy at all. And we have some variances that are there, not just the healthy level, because I do vegan popcorn. I do colors. I do some added with candies, savories, and spicy. But I see our future. One of the things that we often talk about now is how can we grow and do our presentation and make it a better experience for people when they walk into the store, because everybody's going to walk around with their camera. That's the first thing they do. So people eat with their eyes. That's number one. When they see the bag of popcorn, they recognize the logo. Then they look at the bag of popcorn, and the kernels are huge. We use only mushroom, which is the premium kernels. And after we do all of that, then bagging, hand labeling with those young adults with special needs. I just see us going forward and maybe franchising one day where we could teach other people our process. not where you're using water or you're tricking people into buying popcorn today and then 2 days later it's, if it lasts that long, 2 days later then it's chewy and it's not good, and then it makes you want to come buy more. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure you get the best from me in the very beginning, because if you do that and you're spending your money, then you're going to always be my customer and you're going to always come back because you trust my process.
Good answer. I want to ask about the special needs for adults. How did you get involved with that specifically? Was there a story that made you go that route, or just something that's been in your heart, forever? Just want to work with special needs, adult special needs.
Well,
individuals.
my son Devin learns differently. I won't say that he's on the spectrum, but he does learn differently. And throughout his time as a teenager, and when he became an adult and he got his first job, we noticed that it was difficult for him to retain jobs. He would get the job, but there was always so many issues on the job. And they were talking to him, belittling him, or talking down to him because he learned differently. And then he just never wanted to go back. And then there were other jobs where we took him to because we knew that they hired young people who learned differently, and it was still difficult. So in that process, I'm making popcorn, but he's also finding jobs outside of what we were doing because we weren't in the moment to hire people. And then God was like, you need to put that together. And I was like, wow, it didn't register with me until then. And then once I started working with my son, because everything became repetitive with him, and how I talk to him, how I view his voice, and the fact that I respect his voice because I wanted to know how he felt about things. Being in an inclusive environment that invites you in and then is positive, it makes a difference for those young people with special needs. You have to be patient with them. You also have to respect that they learn differently and they don't pick up stuff the way you would ordinarily do. So in that process, I said, okay, you know what? When we start hiring, I need to hire other young people like him, because that puts him in a social atmosphere, because he's also quiet and he's a little reserved. And once I did that, I was like, light bulb moment, because now I have him, and then I have another young man named Alex. Alex and Devin are like oil and water. Alex is so bubbly and he's so out there, and he's still high functioning autistic. He still learns differently, but he's a social butterfly, whereas Devin is not. They come together and they build each other up in that process. So for me, that was important. And when you have a business, it's not about just making money. You still got to be able to give back to the community and build that community up, whether it's regular people that walk through the door or it's those young people with special needs. And I thought about it during the pandemic. These young people were also sitting at home every day like everybody else, except they didn't have friends. They didn't have anybody to talk to them on a day-to-day basis. They weren't online and engaging with others. They were just kind of sitting back, and it was just quiet for them. And it's a lonely time. So when you open up a space for them, it makes sense.
Well, without giving away trade secrets, what advice would you give to someone looking to start their own gourmet food business?
Wow. There's so many opportunities out there. And like, I think I posted the other day, when you go down the bread aisle, there's like 50 different types of breads. So just because there's 50 different types of breads does not mean that you can be the 51st. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to want your product because you're different and because it's you. So you can create, and when you do, you find a base recipe and you make it your own. You stylize it into what's important for you, because I guarantee you, your taste buds, someone else has the same taste bud and they want something different and unique and just good, because there's a lot of things out there you're like, oh, this don't taste good at all.
Yeah.
It's people about the money. For me, it's not about the money. It's about being able to create something that is so out of the box and not ordinary. And you just got to have a mindset to be able to do that, and the discipline to go through it, because I'm telling you, this was not an easy process. I tell people all the time, I didn't go to school to be a chef. I didn't learn all the cooking utensils, all of that stuff. I was in the kitchen making popcorn every day, burned up a whole lot of stuff, had a whole lot of ideas. Oh, I want to make this, I want to make that. I went and I scouted out other popcorn companies. I saw what they had. And when I saw their storefront and how everything was laid out, I knew I wanted it to be different. So having that conversation with my husband and going forward and making it ours, we are totally different. We're not like the average popcorn company.
Definitely not. Well, my final question, it has to do with community and partnerships, which I think is very important with Black-owned businesses. How important is it to you to have these partnerships play out with your business strategy? I noticed you had a list there that I read off of, I think it was Clive's, to go back and Crave Bakery, Dixon Gallery, Doc's Wine and Spirits. How important is that, and how successful has that been for you, maintaining these partnerships?
So in the beginning, when we were at home, we partnered with a lot of local businesses because we needed to get our product out there. We didn't have an online business at the time, so we needed to get them out there. And I think we had popcorn in like 10 different places. So when we talk about like Chef Tam's Underground, we've partnered with Philip Ashley. We've partnered with Hampton Inn, which is not a local, but it is a major corporation here. We've partnered with a day spa and Weston on Bill. So those partnerships, most of the time, they saw us. We didn't go looking for them. They just came after us, especially once we did the blow up in 2020. But no, not in 2020. This was before 2020, because once everything shut down, then we discontinued those partnerships, and that's when we started with our online business. But creating those partnerships for me, it got our product out there more, because we're only in one part of the town, but sometimes people don't want to drive so far. So I've made it my business to make sure that if we partner with somebody, it has to be that one particular company in that one area. So like downtown would be Cordelia's, Harbortown is Cordelia's. In Midtown at the time, it was Chef Tam's. In East Memphis, we had Doc's Wine and Spirits. I try my best not to overpopulate, because if you do that, then it's like, it's just common then, like Lay's potato chips. You'll find those in all the stores. You don't have to worry about,
right,
well, I pass this store, I won't get it. I can get it somewhere else. No, for us, it's important to partner with specific people. We have a high-end product, so our product doesn't just go in a regular grocery store or a convenience store. We do try to partner with a higher-end business itself, and they look for locals because it's important for them too. People like to know the backstory of a local company, and not just a local company that's just selling you a product, but they have something to do with the community. So for us, that's the reason why I needed that part with the young adults with special needs. Not only that, but adding to it, our startup where we did the mission trips for people at church, helping them to raise funds to go and be the hands and feet of Jesus somewhere else in a whole nother country. That's also important.
Well, Ms. Davis, Wade, look, you have so many names since Carver High School, but I'm excited and I'm very happy. I'm very grateful that you decided to come on the show and allow me to interview you. And I wish you nothing but success going forward. And we will be back for some more popcorn. So don't worry about that.
So I can tell people, please come to our store. It's 1770 North Germantown Parkway at the corner of Germantown and Dexter. We're on the Dexter side. Come see us. Come pop on in. And if not, you can always go to the website, popskernel.com. POPSKERNEL.com.
And there it is. All right. We invite all former and present Riverside, South Memphis residents who would like to be considered as potential guests on our show to kindly complete the guest intake form on our website. If the idea of sharing your story with our audience appeals to you, then go to www.riversideinreview.com That's www.riverside.review.com. And thank you again, Ms. Timeko T. Davis Wade, for you being here and you accepting this invite.
You're
and
so welcome.
I wish you, like I said, I wish you nothing but success.
Remember, you're amazing.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.